This video is an introduction to ArcGIS Pro. In this video, you'll learn the basics of the ArcGIS Pro interface, how to create a new project, and import a pre-existing ArcMap project. So using both an MXD, which is an ArcMap project, and an aprx, which is the ArcGIS Pro project format. Once you've opened ArcGIS Pro, you might be prompted to log in if you haven't already done so. This is how the licensing works. So if you're not logged in, the software doesn't know if you have a license or not, and it won't be able to run. If you do need to be able to work offline, there is an option to check out a license for offline use in the settings over on the left. But this is available only after you log in for the first time. If you do need an offline license, organizations usually limit how many of these are actually available, so it's always good to check with your IT group or whoever manages your GIS software before checking one out. But generally for ArcGIS Pro, you will need to have internet access. Once you've logged in, you'll see several options to set up a new project. For this example, we will select Start Without a Template. This creates a new project, but it doesn't automatically add anything to it. These other options over here will automatically add a map, catalog, or a scene, which is a 3D view. We'll select Start Without a Template. Before adding anything to this new project, we'll take a few minutes to go over the ArcGIS Pro interface. Across the top of the window is the dynamic menu bar. The tabs that are currently displayed here are always visible. These are Project, Map, Insert, Analysis, View, Edit, Imagery, Share, and Help. More tabs will appear as you select items in your map, but the menu bar will only display tabs that you can currently use. So depending on the type of item that you have selected, different tabs will appear at the top. For example, if you have a raster layer selected in your map, the raster formatting tabs will appear in the menu bar. One handy tip for planetary scientists before we dive into the other parts of the interface. By default, ArcGIS Pro will automatically add Earth-based base maps to any new map. For example, if we were to add a new map to this project now, we go to the Insert tab and click on New Map. And you can see the new map that's created already has a terrestrial base map in it that I would then have to remove. Since we're often working on other planetary bodies, we can change our settings to not automatically add this pesky Earth-based base map. To do this, we'll go to the Project tab, and then we'll click on Options. In our Options menu, we go down to the Map and Scene section. And under Base Map, by default, it'll have default base map of your organization selected. If I had a base map that I was always using, I could select it here and set it so it just automatically adds a base map that I'm using all the time, or I can select None. So I'm going to select None and then click OK. And now I never have to remove another Earth-based base map from a new map ever again. Instead, any new map that I open will just be blank and I can add my own base map to it. So we'll return to our map project by clicking the back arrow in the upper left corner here. And this will take us out of the project tab and back into that map view. So let's test our changes out by adding another new map to our project. So we'll go back to the Insert tab, click on New Map. And you can see this new map has no base maps in it. It's just blank and I can add my own base map to it. Down the left-hand side of the window is the Contents pane. This is where the layers of data that are in the map are going to be listed. You can see if I go back to that original map that had base maps in it, those base maps are listed in the Contents pane as map layers. As you add data to the map, you can view its symbology and other information like its name in this pane. And this is also where you can reorder map layers, and this changes how they're displayed relative to each other. So layers that are at the top of the list are displayed on top of the layers below. You can also adjust the width of this pane by clicking and dragging in and out. Over on the right-hand side of the window is the Catalog pane. The Catalog pane has 4 tabs. There's Project, Portal, Computer, and Favorites. The Project tab is where you can access all the maps and datasets and folders that are connected to your current project. The Portal tab is where you can access items that you and others have published to ArcGIS Online. And this includes items that have been curated by Esri for the Living Atlas, although those tend to be Earth-based datasets. You can also access any item that has been shared either publicly or internally by your organization, and anything that has been shared publicly by anyone else in all of ArcGIS Online. The Computer tab is where you can find any files that are on your local computer, and the Favorites tab is where you can find any dataset, toolbox, or folder that you have saved as a favorite. It's important to note that favorites persist outside of a specific project, so this is a really great place to save any toolboxes or folders that you might use on a regular basis. That way you don't have to keep connecting them to new projects. And just like the Contents pane, you can adjust the width of the Catalog pane by clicking and dragging it in and out. We'll go back to our Project tab. And to start, we'll first import an existing ArcMap project into this new ArcGIS Pro project. Very often, you might find that you or a collaborator has an existing ArcMap project that already exists as an MXD file format, which is the ArcMap version. And you need to import it into ArcGIS Pro to continue working on it. So in the Project section, right here, of the Insert tab, you're going to click on Import Map. In the Import window, you'll navigate to the folder where the project lives, and then select the MXD and click OK. This is now taking the MXD document, which is the ArcMap format, and creating an ArcGIS Pro version of it. And I'll just real quick get rid of these other maps that we had before from those examples. So the map project that we're working with here is the GIS version of USGS Sim 3464. This is a geologic map of Jezero Crater on Mars by Vivian Sun and Catherine Stack. This is where the Mars 2020 Perseverance rover landed in February 2021. If you want to explore this map yourself, links to a web-based interactive version are in the information for this video, and you can access the USGS Publication Warehouse page and the GIS data from there. You might notice that this project was imported with the layout view displayed. When you open or you import a pre-existing map project, whether the layout view or the map view is displayed is going to depend just on how it was last saved. So this one was last saved with the layout view open. By default, any new map documents are going to open in map view. When maps are displayed in the layout view, the individual map layers aren't always automatically visible in the Contents pane. You can see here we have our map frame. That is this part of the layout here, which is actually showing the map. We can expand the map frame layer to see the individual map layers, but really the layout view is typically just for creating and editing your final map layout, and it's not where you work and manipulate the map layers themselves. The other things that are listed in the Contents pane of the layout view are map components like the scale bars, a legend, and any other text components like titles. So even though we're looking at the layout view here, the original map view is still present in this project. We just need to open it. To do this, we go over to the Catalog pane, and we're going to the Map section. We'll click on the small triangle to expand it. And these here, these original map and map 1, those are the ones I created before to show the base map example. But we have now a Neely 75K map that was added to this project when we imported the MXD. To open this, we can either double-click or you can right-click and select Open. And now we're looking at the regular GIS map. If the Catalog pane disappeared when you imported the map, or sometimes we accidentally close the Catalog pane or the Contents pane while we're working, we can always get those back by going to the View tab and clicking on the Catalog pane icon or the Contents icon. That will bring those back. Now that we have the map view open, we don't need the layout to be open anymore. To close the layout, we go to the tab and just click the small X, and it will disappear. And just like how we opened the map, we can always re-access that layout in the Catalog pane here, go to the Layout section, expand it, and there's our layout version. With that map now open, we can see all the map layers listed in the Contents pane. By default, these are listed in the drawing order, so layers up here at the top are sitting on top of the layers below them. This becomes really important when you're changing the display properties of layers, like making some of them transparent, so that way we can see the layers below. You can also click and drag layers up and down within the contents of the pane to change their drawing order. There are other options for the Contents pane. So you can also view your layers by data source. This groups the layers by where they're located on your computer. You can also view them by their selectability, and this is a really useful place to go if you're working on a project and you can't select something. Check here, because you may have turned off the selectability for that layer. This often happens when people set the layers so only one of them is selectable, but then we forget we did that. You can always check a box here to make a layer selectable again. Another content pane view option is by editability. So just like the selectability view, this shows you which layers are editable. There's also snapping view, which shows you which layers you can snap features to, and a tagging view if you have any tags applied to your map layers. But by default, the contents pane will be in drawing order, but these other view options are always available. This map has several different types of layers. As you click on different layers in the contents pane, you'll see additional tabs appearing in the menu bar, depending on what type of layer you have selected. So if we select a raster layer, we'll go all the way down to the bottom here and select one of our base maps. You can see up top now we have the raster layer and data tabs appear so that we can manipulate that raster layer that we have selected in our contents pane. If we select a vector layer, which is also known as a feature layer in ArcGIS Pro, like our geologic units layer here, you can now see we have a feature layer, labeling, and data tabs available in our menu bar. In this map, there are also annotation layers and graphics layers. So these extra tabs up in the menu bar are dynamic, and they're going to change depending on what you have selected in your contents pane. If you're looking for a tool and you just don't see it up here, check and see what you have selected in your contents pane. It might be that you don't have the appropriate layer selected for that tool to show up. To save a map project, we're going to go to the Save icon in the upper left corner. We'll navigate to where we want to save our project. We'll name our project. And click Save. Now that it's saved, we can go to our File Explorer and see what that ArcGIS Pro project structure looks like. So here's our original ArcMap project, which is the MXD file. What we just saved is the Nearly 75K ArcGIS Pro. If we go into that, we can see here we have a project file. This is the aprx. And then there are other files and folders that are automatically created along with the project file. There's always a default toolbox, that's the ATBX. There's also an import log, an index folder, and there's a default geodatabase. The geodatabase is the GDB, and these are automatically all created and saved in this same folder where the project file is. It's important to note that the aprx, which is the ArcGIS Pro project, is not backwards compatible with ArcMap. So you can open an ArcMap project in ArcGIS Pro, but you cannot open an ArcGIS Pro project in ArcMap. And that's our overview of the ArcGIS Pro interface, how to import an existing ArcMap project, and how to save an ArcGIS Pro project.